Hi, folks. I'd like to welcome you to the webinar. Ask you to please respect your fellow attendees, mute your phones and/or speakers. Before I get started, I'd just like to say thank you to Kenny and Francis, to Coach Ken, to Mark White, all of whom worked very hard to make this possible tonight, and I appreciate all of you. So with that, let's get started. We'll talk about senior screening, which I believe is an opportunity of a lifetime. What makes this such a great opportunity? Well, let's start here. It's an opportunity to join in the fight against cancer, the fight to eradicate cancer. With that in mind, let's take a look at this quick video.
The Siteman Cancer Center, in partnership with Washington University's Genomics and Pathology Services, known as GPS, is taking what was learned from decoding the human genome and translating it into life-changing outcomes for cancer patients. Building on the Human Genome Project, a massive effort involving laboratories across the globe and including Washington University's Genome Institute, the GPS team is using so-called next-generation sequencing to help doctors in making personalized medicine a reality for their cancer patients. But what does that mean, and how does it work? The human body is made up of more than 30 trillion cells, and each of those cells contains DNA, our genetic code. When cancer occurs, something in our cell's DNA has gone wrong, a genetic change. It takes more than just one genetic change to result in cancer, and these changes can be inherited or, more commonly, acquired after we are born. In fact, 85% of all cancers happen as a result of changes that occur over the course of our lives by exposure to things like cigarette smoke, certain toxic chemicals, or UV light from the sun. As we age, our cell's DNA gets more and more of these changes, which explains why it may take many years for a cancer to develop. Cancer occurs when certain combinations of these changes cause cells to lose their normal function. As a result, they grow and divide uncontrollably, and together they form what we call a tumor. Imagine if we knew how to read the DNA sequence of a tumor. We could then see where the genetic changes are, what they look like, and what they do. Having that kind of information would mean doctors could provide a precise, personalized management plan for patients with cancer, perhaps even targeting some of the genetic changes with specific drugs. Next-generation sequencing allows us to look at and analyze dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of cancer-related genes all at the same time. This so-called tumor profiling provides the unique genetic information for a specific cancer.
We can see with incredibly high resolution the actual code of a tumor's DNA. And in many cases, we can identify specific changes that have played a role in the development of that tumor. Armed with that kind of information, we are literally changing the future for our cancer patients. They can be treated individually with drugs that specifically target their tumor cells based on its genetic code, not just based on where the tumor is in their body or where it may have arisen. This is a game changer for oncology. It's really very exciting.
Sue is a great example of how results from tumor profiling may impact treatment and improve outcomes. She was diagnosed with stage 4 non-small cell lung cancer and benefited from chemotherapy for some time, but then developed worsening shortness of breath and cough due to spread of her cancer.
I knew before I even had the CT that there was something wrong because I was coughing a lot and my shortness of breath had come back. So, you could tell that there was something.
We performed targeted next-generation sequencing of her tumor, which revealed a gene mutation for which she received treatment as part of a clinical trial.
It just so happened that there was a study being done at Siteman for that exact mutation. So I volunteered to be in that study, and it has been very successful for me. The metastasized tumors disappeared right away, and then after that, the original tumor actually shrank, and so I'm having what's called a complete response. I can live my life in just a very normal way. My husband and I walk, I garden, I take care of my grandson from time to time. All of the normal things that anyone would do. I feel like I have been very fortunate.
Are you worried that you or someone in your family might be at risk for hereditary cancer? Did you know that sometimes genetic symptoms can go undiagnosed? Worry no more. Here's how it all works. First, you fill out your free test form. Our representative will call and verify your medical and insurance information and figure out which kit is right for you. Our board-certified physician will consult with you and work with a certified lab technician to perform the comprehensive analysis and make sure you get the most accurate results. When you get your results, we provide you with a risk assessment for any selected hereditary disorders and provide personal screening guidelines with comprehensive genetic counseling. It gets better. For those with the right kind of coverage, the entire process might be completely covered by your insurance company. Now you can learn whether your genes you've had your entire life contribute to the risk of you developing certain kinds of cancer. You can also begin to understand any unexplained symptoms you've been having. The earlier cancer is discovered, the better the odds of survival. For cancers covered by our hereditary cancer test, the 5-year survival rates increase dramatically when they are caught earlier and at a more treatable stage. Why wait? Get your kit today. Together, we can fight the spread of cancer.
Well, folks, I think it's easy for you to understand why I believe, and you probably also believe, this is so much more than a job. It's a mission to eradicate cancer. That said, there's another side to it. That's the economic opportunity. Now you have the opportunity through this program for significant financial reward. And for those of you who want to make a team effort, the reward becomes even larger and is significant and worthy of your consideration. That said, there is no requirement or even a need to build a team in order to benefit significantly from this effort. Let me tell you about how I got involved. Last January 2018, a good friend called me up, proposed that we put together a team of 4 friends, and we went down to Florida, set up a booth at the Florida State Fair. When we did that, we did DNA screening. The screening was for those with Medicare Part B, and that's what we're going to talk about mostly today, although Carolumina does have relationships with some insurance companies. We screen for genetic markers for cancer in the DNA of senior citizens, and we only did screens for those who qualified to get them at no cost. It went very well, and that would be an understatement. It went so well, in fact, that we decided to come back a couple of weeks later and do the same thing at the Strawberry Festival. And in just 20 days, we completed 756 cancer screens and another 500 or 600 PGX screens, the pharmacogenomic. We had a contract directly with one lab located in Florida, and we were paid very well for our efforts. However, not what we expected. I want to emphasize this. We were not working with Carolumina at that time. However, it was clear there was a real business opportunity here because senior citizens actually want to know this if they're able to learn it at no cost. More importantly, the opportunity was completely and directly aligned with my business mission statement, which is we will do well by doing good. I got a little fired up, came back to Charlotte, went online, searched for senior health fairs, found one at a big church nearby and rented a table, and in 2.5 hours completed 15 screens by myself. I want to be clear here. If I had been using Carolumina, I would have set appointments with those people and gone and visited with them and taken a complete health record as we do with Carolumina, and as a result, made a lot more money. However, at that point, I went on a search. And from March until November, I searched for a real company to work with to do the screenings. And frankly, I was not thinking about making a team. I was thinking rather about doing them myself. Along the way, I found a couple of companies that for a variety of reasons just didn't fit the bill. But in November, a good friend of mine, Angelo Gardner, called me and said, Tony, I found the company, and it was Carelumina. I was immediately convinced that this was the company because, among other things, it is in perfect harmony with my mission statement. We will do well by doing good. I encourage, I invite, I beg each and every one of you to do your own due diligence. Take a look at carelumina.com and ocentra.com. Ocentra is both a part owner and a partner with Carelumina in this venture, and they are a key during my analysis of why this is a great opportunity, a great company, ocentra.com. Carelumina is a direct selling company. It's been in existence for just short of 2 years. It specializes in health and wellness products and services. I think we could unanimously agree that cancer screening is a health and wellness service. It operates in partnership, as I mentioned, with Ocentra. And they have several owners in common, including our CEO and founder, Fraser Burns. They recently decided to introduce genetic screening as a service in their direct selling company. Now, I'd like to go over the strength of our partner, Ocentra. Ocentra, and you'll find this on their website. I, again, invite you, I entreat you to go over and take a look at that, do all your due diligence. They're aligned with over 110 companies globally that they provide services for and have been for many years. Web.com, Dish, BBVA, Hilton, Sprint, Discover, Duke Energy, and Wells Fargo, just to name a few. Household names here in America. Ocentra has been doing 8,000 to 10,000 screens per month for over 4 years. Folks, that's 400,000 plus of these screens. So they're not a Johnny-come-lately in this business. They have a 98% pull-through rate. In other words, from submission to completion, we send in 98 screens. We follow their procedure. Let me repeat that. We follow their procedure with a complete EHR, all the steps, and they have a 98% pull-through rate. I don't want to even talk about or think about how much money I would have made if I'd have had anything like a 98% pull-through rate. Now, part of the reason is the 14 labs they're contracted with at least one in each of the 13 Medicare regions. They are also a 23-year-old company. Again, not a startup. This is simply a new division of Ocentra that's now taking it and allowing us with this opportunity to take it to the public. I do want to reiterate, in order to keep up the pull-through rate, we have an obligation as patient intake specialists to follow the proper procedures, and there is training available on all of that. As a patient intake specialist, what do? First of all, we market, and what we're marketing is we're providing information on the benefits of genetic cancer screening. Once we find someone who is interested in that information, we pre-qualify them to determine whether or not they're qualified. And there are two different ways of qualifying. We'll talk about that in a second. But the company provides a questionnaire that allows us to do the pre-qualification. Once we've pre-qualified them, we input the data into a HIPAA-compliant EHR, electronic health record system. We connect the patient to a third-party verification team. Then we connect them with a telehealth doctor to establish the medical benefit. Now, the telehealth company, and this is another part of this that's very important, is owned by Ocenture. So they're not calling telehealth doctors, or we're not calling telehealth doctors that don't know what they're doing when it comes to this particular test. They know the right codes. They know exactly what they're looking for to determine the medical benefit. At that point, we swab the patient. Now, if we're unable to reach the telehealth doctor, we can swab them and schedule a time for the doctor to call. And we send the swab to Carelumina, either in a FedEx envelope, or we will send it to them via priority mail. Okay, the first phase of qualification is having the right insurance. And for the sake of this discussion, we're going to keep it simple, and we'll say that we're looking for Medicare Part B patients. That is, people who have Part B Medicare. That said, Carelumina has now and is establishing relationships with many insurance companies, and you'll be able to see all of that in another presentation. But for now, let's talk about Part B. As you can see at the top, it says no with a red arrow. It so happens that's me. I'm a Vietnam era veteran, and the VA provides my Part B benefits, so I only have Part A. The bottom card is a person with the Part A and Part B. They're qualified by their insurance. The second way people qualify, they must have not just the right insurance, but any one of these. They must be a survivor. A parent could have had cancer, a sister, brother, or children, just one from column A, if you will. Or any two of these. Grandparents, uncles, aunts, nephews, nieces, grandchildren, great-grandparents, great-uncles, great-aunts, great-grandchildren, or first cousins. As you can see, that's a wide net. What I will tell you, as you're qualifying people, you want to get a complete family history, because the more people in the family that have it, not only does it enhance the medical profile, but it also could increase the amount that's paid. I will also tell you that it is important for our pull-through to get all the information available. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about money. As with any business, your results may vary and will be based on your individual capacity, business experience, expertise, and level of desire. There are no guarantees concerning the level of success you may experience. In other words, this is not guaranteed. And how the plan pays for screens. First of all, each screen will pay between $300 and $900. This represents 60% of the amount paid into the comp plan. An additional 30% of what goes into the comp plan is paid in overrides through 6 levels up, and the remaining 10% is paid in bonuses. I want to tell you something. I had a guy call me, Fred Stones. I said, Fred, I'd make your name real small, but I made it big because I want people to know that you're having a hard time sleeping. I said, Fred, what's the problem? He says, 1 a day. And I said, okay, you're taking vitamins that won't let you sleep. He said, no, that's not it, Tony. I multiplied 365 by the $300 minimum pay, and I discovered that the number was $109,500. He said, I realized that if I averaged just 1 screen per day and got the minimum pay, it would be a 6-figure income. You know, we hear a lot today about a 6-figure income. 1 a day at the lowest pay equals a 6-figure income. That's pretty phenomenal. Now, the senior manager special has been extended, so anyone that joins before the end of January will immediately and permanently be grandfathered at the senior manager position. What that means is from day one, you're qualified to receive the maximum of 60% of what goes into the pay plan in your compensation. This means you immediately, as I said, earn the maximum on all your personal production. That's pretty important to me. This is for illustrative or illustrative purposes, depending on whether you say tomato or tomato. You do just 4 screens/swabs per month. You average 500 per swab. That's the lower end of the average of those two numbers. You make $2,000 part-time. Are you happy? No, you're ecstatic. You do 10 screens, same scenario, it's $5,000. 20, you're making $10,000 a month. That's as far as I'm going, folks. Are you happy with that? I'm going to say the answer is yes. And for those who intend to build a team, well, let's take a little look at that. I'm going to keep it simple. Not a comp plan expert, don't pretend to be. However, I can see this. If 1,500 goes into the plan and you make 900, or 500 and you make 300, everybody that's doing it gets paid the same. I love that. Same pay, same work. Also on your first level, you make 5%, as you can see there. Here's where you start building a team. We're all coming in as senior manager today. Here's where you start building a team. And as you can see on your 2nd through 6th levels, as you reach regional manager, which is fairly easy to do, you give yourself a 50% increase on those levels, and it goes up. And again, I've talked to a lot of people who have been in network marketing. I have not been, who understand pay plans. It's very unusual for someone to get the same pay on the 6th level that they get on their 2nd level. Again, consistency. The next thing that happens is you get a car allowance. When you reach the director level, you get an $800 per month car allowance. And when you reach the presidential level, that goes to $1,600 per month. That's pretty amazing. Now you can slice and dice this plan, and it's all wide open. You don't have to join to see it. You don't have to get anybody to send it to you. You simply go to carolumina.com. Up at the top, there's a banner. You click on opportunity. You scroll down on that page until you see this image. You click on that image, and it's all there. So slice and dice to your heart's content. What does it cost to get started? Well, there is a $200 fee to get started. That includes your kit, your training, etc. There is a $25 monthly fee, which includes an amazing back office and 24/7, 365 telehealth for your entire family. There is a fast start bonus. When you bring someone in who pays $200, you as a sponsor get $100. Your sponsor gets $20. However, there is a responsibility. In order to release that money, you must make sure that the person you sponsor has completed the relatively simple training in the back office. I want to make something clear. Some people have said you make it sound so easy. That's not what I'm trying to do. It is simple. That doesn't mean it's easy. We all have to work. If we want to make money, we have to study. We have to be compliant. And all of those things combined are not necessarily easy. Trust me, they are simple. Now, I want to thank you for your time. I want to invite you to get back to the person who invited you to this presentation. I want you to get all your questions answered. Either the person that invited you or their sponsor or someone in their upline will be happy to help you. And if, keyword if, this is a fit for you, we invite you to join us in the fight to eradicate cancer. And with that, I'm going to say thank you for your time, and we're going to call this a night.